Alrighty, so I've painted the interior colour on the exterior of the clear parts, as I mentioned. So when it's all said and done and you remove the masking, if you look through this window, you'll be able to see inside the cockpit, and that green will be showing through. That's to stop when the gun comes out there, the overspray getting in. So as mentioned, I'm doing this scheme. So it's the from the Philippines, Moret Field, Mindanao, Philippines, August 45. I think I mentioned I just like the tri-colour camouflage. I like the Marines and the US Navy, World War II, these schemes, great colour schemes, and the aircraft they're on were also great looking aircraft. So, and that is your other option, the glossy blue all over. I have to mask off my bomb bay and door access area. So the paints I'll be using is a bit of a mix because I ran out of AK Real Colour Insignia White and I couldn't get it, so I got this one. So Insignia White, that's SMS lacquer, that's Australian brand, and AK Real Colours. So it's Real Colour 235, the paint number, and it's FS35164 intermediate blue. So it's the lighter blue, and they got the dark sea blue, which is Real Colour 258. And of course, I think they've changed the packaging now. I think they use plastic containers instead of the glass ones, but I would imagine they kept the same paint numbers, but don't quote me on that. And I've been using this a lot lately simply because I love the effect and the ease of doing it. So I'm going to prime it. So I'll do the underside first. So I'll prime that grey and use this and put in a darker grey. I don't want black, because if you use black when you're using white, it just means you got to lay down more white to cover up your pre-shading effects. So I'll use a darker grey for that, and then I'll obviously have to mask that off, and it's the top colours wrap around the bottom of the wing, so it makes it a bit more of a chore for the masking job on this one. Same as the stabilizers on the rear. I may use, I probably won't use Tamiya tape or tape. I'll probably just use white tack to give it a softer edge, demarcation between the colours, just to make it's older, it's been used more, and the paint's starting to show its wear and tear and age. And same with the top of the dark sea blue and the intermediate blue. I'll mask that with the same system. I want to try something different with this. Maybe, I don't know yet. Yeah, probably like most people, sometimes you don't want to try different things because you're worried you're going to wreck the model that you put so much work into. Nothing drastic, but I'll see how I go. If I do it, then I'll discuss that. So yes, time to lay down some paint. Alrighty, so you can see I'm prepared to paint my Insignia White. Really happy with this under effect, pre-shading, splatter effect. So I've used a medium-ish type grey, maybe a bit darker. So because I'm using white, I've primed a light grey and I've used the darker grey. That's the effect I'm working with because it's white. When I come to do the top and the blue, I'll prime with either black or a dark grey, and then use that piece of Scara and spray white through it, and that'll lighten change the hue of the blues. But there's no point spraying white through it when I'm using white. It probably will show a little bit, but you need something a bit more to give it the contrast. So now I'll spray this. This is, you can spray it neat from the bottle, but I always thin it. But that's a personal choice. But if you're doing this sort of thing, you want your paint thin, and you gradually build it up so you can still see the effects underneath. If you're using I always heavily thin, so when I airbrush, so I'm usually around 70% thinners to 30% paint. This one won't require that much because it's a pretty thin paint, but I still thin it. Alright, white's down. I've kept it really grubby looking, so it's a real light top coat to show through the previous splatter effect. So at the moment I'm happy with what I've got here, but of course if you're not happy you can come back and give it a bit more coverage. This is pre-clear coat, so it hasn't had a clear coat yet. So once it has a clear coat, then I'll see what I think then. And when I am happy, then I'll start masking to do the intermediate blue next. And then, of course, after that, the dark sea blue. So yeah, I'll finish what I'm doing here and mask it. I'll come back and show what I'm doing with the pre-shading and that on the top coat for the blue. Alright, the white has had a clear gloss coat. So I've now switched to black, prime black, and I've used white as the splatter through the Scara. So it's a bit of a complex masking system for it because it's got, like I said, the blue wraps around the leading edge, so it goes on the top and underneath. So I've used my white tack to mask off so I don't get the white up here. Doesn't matter. I'll paint the intermediate blue, same again, give it a clear gloss, and then I'll use the white tack again to mask off, and then I can do the dark sea blue. I've just done the one wing for the moment. I'll probably just do this wing, do the other wing, just one at a time, just so I haven't got so much white tack and masking going on. So I'll paint that in and have a look how that looks. Alright, I finished off the whole wing. There's no, whoop, there, that's just loose fit, obviously. So what you saw I did for the intermediate blue is this the same process for the dark sea blue. It hasn't had a clear coat yet. I'll probably need to touch in a couple of areas by the looks of it. Maybe a bit in there by the looks of it. With the intermediate blue. So that's, I'll stay off now. So what I was talking about trying earlier, I didn't do. I think it might have been a bit too much with all the. This kit's pretty detailed with panel lines and rivets. So what I was thinking, it might have just made it a bit too much in your face. Anyway, that's where I am at. So I'll have to touch in that area under the nacelle there, and I'll give it a clear coat, and then I can proceed to the other wing.